Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
All right, next. I saw this here. Is the O-line really better than last year? Well, pass blocking, absolutely. Absolutely. I saw this article. It says that yes, the Giants' offensive line is better overall unit than the 2023 squad. But also, to be fair, the 2023 squad was like a revolving door. Every week it was just, especially in the first half of the season, it was kind of like, well, who's the starting five this week? So far we've been pretty lucky. Knock on wood. That's one of the big things. Obviously you look at it too, is that so far in the beginning, the first 4 weeks, right? We've had the same quarterback and the offensive line, right? You get some continuity building up there, right? Last year, it took a few. Well, let's say Daniel Jones got I don't want to laugh, but he got annihilated in week 5. That's when he got it. He got his neck injury, right, against the Dolphins. But even before that, we had the revolving door in the offensive line. So far, just what a difference a year can make, right? So that's got a lot to do with it. But I said the Giants' starting offensive line entering week 1 of last season. You had Evan Neal, Glowinski, John Michael Schmitz Jr., who was a rookie, game 1, right? Ben Bredesen and Andrew Thomas. So Thomas played one healthy drive in the game, obviously, right? And then hobbled for 53 out of the 73 total snaps. Kind of wonder, a lot of people were also kind of wondering, should he even been on the field after he pulled his hamstring, right? He wasn't healthy the rest of the season, but returned to action in week 9. So, he missed half the season. Our best offensive lineman. You can also maybe possibly say the best player on offense for the Giants missed half of the season. Had one good drive, right? And then basically the rest of the season, it seemed like his hamstring was bothering him. To some degree, right? Joshua Zudu started at left tackle until he landed on injured reserve after week 6. He surrendered 5 sacks and 12 pressures on 181 pass blocking snaps. Wow. Zudu's shift to left tackle moved Shane Lemieux into the starting lineup for week 3. Shane Lemieux, where he earned a 3.8 Pro Football Focus grade. Shane Lemieux, 3.8. Wow. Mark Lewinsky is a free agent right now and was benched for Marcus McKethan, the 5th-round pick in 2022, who recovered from a torn ACL suffered in training camp as a rookie. McKethan would leave the lineup in week 8 against the Jets in favor of Lewinsky. McKethan is also unsigned after being waived by the Giants. Arguably the best overall Giants offensive lineman in 2023 was Justin Pugh, a former Giants they signed straight off the couch. Well, he had his issues as well, too. Definitely had his issues. Did the Giants fix the offensive line, the rushing attack? Now, we got to get better with this rushing. The rushing. Definitely got to get better. Pro Football Focus grades the Giants' 2023 offensive line as the 3rd worst run blocking unit behind the Chargers and the Jaguars. They finished the 2023 season 20th in yards per carry with an average of 4.1. New York ranked 29th in expected points contributed by the rushing offense. The overall offense had a value over adjusted ranking of 30th. Through 4 games, Pro Football Focus grades the Giants' 2024 offensive line as the 2nd worst run blocking unit behind the Raiders. New York ranks dead last in yards per carry, 3.4. They ranked 31st in expected points contributed by the rushing offense. The overall offense had a value over adjusted ranking of 21st in the league. The offensive line investments have not paid significant dividends in rushing success through the first 4 games. It says there are several possible reasons for the inefficiency of the ground on the ground. It's mostly a new unit with one of their starters, Van Roten, signed a few days into training camp. That factors in as makes a loss, obviously with Saquon Barkley. However, the Giants' opponent played a role as well. The Vikings looked like the best defense in the league, but we're not aware of that in week 1. The Vikings had the best DVOA of any defense and are second best against the run. New York only had 74 rushing yards, 3.5 yards per carry in week 1 against Minnesota. But also, to be fair, we had 74 rushing yards, but once again, to be fair, when you're down 28-6, you're not running the ball. If you're in the game, then you got, and then you can kind of pick and choose. Well, we're going to run. We're going to, obviously the object is to move the sticks and keep the ball and all that stuff and everything. But when you're down 28-6, it's not, well, do we want to run it here and pick up 4 or 5 yards and keep the clock running and run the game out and make sure we lose, or do we want to throw the ball and try to get back? So if we're down, well, at least within one score, the opportunity's there to at least run the ball. So, I mean, you only had 74 yards. Well, when you're down the whole game pretty much, it's kind of tough to run the ball. Giants established the run well in Washington. Let's see. Averaging 5.9 yards per carry, a total of 129 yards. However, the Commanders averaged about 5.3 yards per carry on the season. The Browns allowed 4.6 yards per carry, and the Giants had 3.5 yards per carry in the Cleveland game. Through 3 weeks, one could surmise that the rushing attack wasn't perfect but adequate, with an excellent upcoming matchup at home against the Cowboys, a team that averaged a league-high 185 yards rushing giving up per game. And they would have and they would have gave up even more rushing yards per game if in week 1 they were just annihilating the Browns. It wasn't like the Cowboys offense was just walking up and down the field. It's just that the Browns offense itself was just horrible. Watson would get the ball within like half a second. There'd be 37 guys. He's running for his life. Right, the Browns went down by multiple scores, so you got to throw the ball. You can't run the ball. So if the Browns kept it a close game, the Browns would have ran the ball even more, and therefore the Cowboys yards might have gave up almost 200 yards a game in the first 3 games if the Brown game was closer. So it was a perfect opponent coming into MetLife Stadium for the Giants to at least I'm not saying win the game, but a feel-good game in the running department. We ran the ball 24 times for 26 yards against a team that was giving up 185 yards a game rushing. Wow. And the thing is that there was times where Diggs was off the field. I think he cramped up. I think they maybe gave him an IV. Parsons got taken off the field. Lawrence, I think they were taping up his arch, I think it was, and he's going to miss a chunk of time. So their best players on defense some of the time weren't even on the field. We still couldn't run the ball. It's like, what the is going on? Horrible. The Giants were dominated on the ground. They averaged a measly 1.1 yard per carry as Mike Zimmer's defense unit adjusted and solidified. Logic would suggest that competent nature of the personnel on the offensive line would lead to a more reliable ground attack. So that may not manifest next week. The Giants travel to Seattle to play the Seahawks in the Seahawks short week. Not the short week for the Giants, though. So the Giants have an advantage there. Let's see. A home game in week 6 on Sunday Night Football against the Bengals defense ranks on the bottom 10 of the league. The Bengals allow the 25th most rushing yards on the ground. So that might be another opportunity for the Giants to at least run the ball. Singletary averages 4.1 yards per carry. Let's see. The Giants also found some success running to the open side or the weak side. The Giants haven't had as much success with counters or crunch plays as they've yet to hit a big play on their zone reads. The pass protection. The answer is yes. An astounding yes. Is the offensive line better? Absolutely. You got that right. Giants pass protection is significantly better than in 2023. I've never seen Daniel Jones so comfortable and clean in the pocket. However, according to Pro Football Focus, he still leads the league in quarterback pressures allowed with 13 of them. 23.6% of the Giants' team pressures in 2024 is assigned to Jones, which ranks 5th in the NFL behind Bryce Young, Jaden Daniels, Justin Fields, and Patrick Mahomes. But, without question, their pass protection, without question, is better. It'd be nice to get a little bit of a better balance, right? I mean, instead of the pass protection being so much better and the run, somewhere maybe a little bit better, but hopefully maybe as the weeks go by and the guys start, playing more and more together, they can stay healthy, more and more playing time together. Hopefully the run game will get a little bit better. Giants have a better situation on the offensive line than in 2023. If they didn't, it would be a disaster. However, the unit still leaves some to be desired. Singletary hasn't had much room to operate. He ranks 20th in yards after contact, 3.23, and second in the league with 20 missed tackles forced. So he's he's forcing a lot of missed tackles, and we're still not getting a lot of yards. Only Jordan Mason of the 49ers has forced more missed tackles. Pro Football Focus also gave Singletary the 6th highest elusive rating. Singletary has a solid individual statistics, but only averages 3.9 yards per carry. The offensive line has to do a better job opening up holes, sustaining blocks, and locating the penetrating second-level defenders. The run blocking is better than it was in 2023, but only marginally. And I expect it to improve slightly. The pass blocking is much better, but still could improve. Absolutely, it can always improve. Absolutely, everything could always improve. But also, we also don't have Saquon back there either. So it is what it is. But hopefully, as the weeks go by, the run blocking will get better. Hopefully.